Hello, I am Card Shark.
And I'm Funky Phil.
And torrentails sitting on the side.
Yeah. Today is a bit of a different kind of style video. More of a demonstration of something that's hotly discussed at the moment. The infamous Dragon Express.
Extremely popular on the Reddit at the moment. A lot of people trying to counter it and saying that it's one of the most broken decks ever come to existence.
Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do a rough show of how the deck works, assuming that I can't beat it in the meantime. I highly doubt so, but we'll see if the deck... there.
We'll showcase the deck and see how it goes.
It's kind of a 1, where's the fife? 2, give me the fife sort of deck.
Yeah,
There's not a great deal to it.
Man, I'm so glad you guys took your brain pills today. Once again, I neglected to take mine.
As always.
Shut up, that's kind of my thing.
So we'll start with tradition.
I'm an odd kind of person, and it's a 2. So
It's a 2. It's evens.
It's even Stevens. Okay.
So I will elect to go first. I'm going to choose to keep this hand.
So am I.
Righto. So, fairly stock standard start for this. I will take my 2 action tokens, and I'll pass turn.
Okay.
So Card Shark's got to try and do as much as he possibly can at this point.
It's a racing game.
It's a racing game against it's basically like the tortoise and the hare, but this time the tortoise actually loses.
Fair enough. That's accurate, I guess. Okay. So, for 2, I'm going to move Mordpie to here.
Okay. So I'll take my 2 action tokens,
Sure.
draw my card, and pass turn.
Okay.
Doesn't even look at his card, guys.
Sure.
He doesn't need to.
I'm not going to lie. I played this deck today, and I absolutely hated it.
Yeah, he played it against me with my Dragon Express, and he sat there for 20 minutes waiting for me to do my turn while he played ponies on his phone.
Good thing is, I managed to clear a lot of vines and get a couple of element shards while I was playing. So,
Hey, as long as you're profitable.
and past turn, I just played a Golden Harvest for 2 action tokens and drew my card.
So I'll take my 2 action tokens, draw my card, and pass turn.
God, time is running out for me. Okay, so for 2 action tokens, I'm going to play Vittlestand to my home. Since I have a friend and a resourcing thing, and multiply flips at the end of my main phase. And pass you, Funky Phil.
So I'll draw my
So
card.
Card Shark didn't even manage to get a single point, and Phil's now picking up his cards, which means it's basically over.
Righto. So let's start this horrible, horrible, horrible experiment.
So here's the showcase, guys.
Pay 1. To play Sweet and Kind, targeting Spike.
Mm-hmm.
And, let's him, a counter.
You know what? Since it's going to be a 1-turn thing, why don't we actually make it mean something so that people at home can see what we're doing?
Spike has to carry all that weight, guys.
He does. And I'm just going to put a little thing here so we can keep track of his power as well.
Here we go.
There we go. Okay. So he's currently at 3 power with 1 token on him.
I think we're going a little bit overboard. But
I've paid 1 to play my magical mailbox, which now puts him on 2.
mm-hmm.
I am now going to remove 1 token through magical mailbox to draw 2 cards.
So for those of you at home, what Magical Mailbox does, you can take a token off of any card that you have, and you can use it to draw a card. However, if you take 1 token off of a dragon or a Pegasi, you can draw 2 cards.
So I'm now removing the last counter on him to draw a further 2 cards. Right.
Has he hit his Luna?
I've hit the Luna, so I'm now going to spend 1 action token, which now drops me down to 5 action tokens, to play Apples and Oranges, targeting Spike. So he's now up to 5 power, and
he's a purple, yellow, and orange.
Gets a counter. I'm now going to spend a further 4 action tokens to pop down Princess Luna, the Celestial Solstice one, which has the effect, if I would draw a card, I may exhaust one of my friends and gain 1 action token instead. Which gets another
Token.
Of course, for those of you who may not be so experienced with the game, drawing multiple cards with a single effect counts as separate card draws, so you can use that effect multiple times on Magical Mailbox, which he will be doing very soon.
So, let's get our next little trick in, which is our Breezies. 0 cost, has a colour requirement, 0 power, but allows us card draw for free, or action token generation for free. At this stage, I'm going to remove a token to draw 2 cards.
So right now, Phil's at that stage. He's got all the pieces in play he needs. He just needs to hit all of his breezies and maybe pump up Spike a little bit, and then he can move on to the final stage.
So removing a counter to draw 2 cards. Placing a rarity, Breezy.
Key card of the deck,
To
that's
gain a
how he
counter.
gets his points.
To play an oh, hang on. I haven't made a white yet.
Oh!
Not yet.
Must try,
You
sunshine.
need your...
So we'll get the Applejack.
Mhm.
So remove to draw 2. To play an Applejack to get a counter. To remove a counter to draw 2. Playing a Fluttershy to remove and gain a counter. Removing the counter.
So you can see how easy it
Draw
is
2.
to get through the entire deck, and of course, if you can get through your entire deck in a single
Applejack.
turn, you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want.
Gain a counter. Remove a counter. Draw 2.
So while Phil's doing that, as you can see, I have done nothing. Can't see the timestamp on the video at the moment. It's be at least 2 to 3 minutes at least.
Be about 5 minutes now.
Twilight
Probably.
Sparkle to gain a counter. To remove a counter to draw 2.
And obviously, Card Shark can't really do much here.
I know, my phone's sitting there with the counter. I can't play ponies while you're doing this, can I?
This time, you just have to sit there and twiddle your thumbs.
You
Okay.
do at this stage. Oh boy. Okay. So I'm going to spend this last 1 action token to play a boneless
Oh, there we go.
to get him a counter. I'm now going to retire boneless to turn Spike pink.
Hooray!
So as pink, all Spike needs now is to be white, and he'll have all the colours he needs.
To play Party Bomb to gain a counter. I am now going to remove the counter to draw 2. To remove a counter and draw 2. Still waiting for that white entry.
So this is one of the tweaks I was looking at making to the deck, was that there's only one rock-solid fashion in this deck, and sometimes it takes a
Play
little while
Party
to get
Bomb.
out.
To gain a counter. To remove a counter. To draw 2.
Having said that, there's no shortage of 0-cost cards he has to play.
No, that's exactly it. And if worse comes to worse, I can start recycling.
Yep.
Which we may in fact have to do. Okay. So, I'm going to remove the counter and exhaust Twilight Sparkle to gain 1 action token.
And draw a card.
Draw a card. Oh boy. Pay 1, play a boneless, to get a token, to remove the token, exhaust Applejack to gain 1, and draw a card. To play a pile of presents, to gain a token, to remove a token, exhaust, to gain 2, well, put me on 2 rather, and draw a card. Play a Fluttershy, to to get a token. To remove a token, draw 2.
Well, while Phil's trying to dig out the card he's trying to do, I guess it's a perfect opportunity for me to voice my opinions on the deck. Don't stop me doing, Phil, because I'm, like I said, they kind of get the point at the moment.
Yeah.
But
if you start doing something interesting, interrupt.
Yes, please
Right.
tell me to hold on what I'm saying.
Well, I'm going to sack Party Bomb.
Yep.
With 0 counters for 0 cost.
So, Kacha, your opinions on these?
Oh, hold on, he's doing some
Oh,
important
he's doing
things.
something
here.
interesting, yeah.
Shuffle all the breezies
He's doing a deck
to my
reset.
graveyard.
Oh no!
Mhm.
I'm then going to spend 1 to play a juggling routine.
Mhm.
Each player shuffles their graveyard into their deck and draws a card.
I'll just take that graveyard right there, you know.
All of
Just
that
take,
graveyard?
You know,
Oh no, Mordecai's back down to 3. Whatever will you do?
Now, one of the
Sit here and
interesting
twiddle
things
my
about this
thumbs.
today was I managed to shuffle my hand into the deck and graveyard.
Mm.
I'm not used to holding this many cards at one time,
See,
which is a very bizarre thing.
Yeah.
But
When I typically play this deck, I typically set aside cards that are no longer useful to me so that I don't accidentally put them somewhere they're not supposed to be.
which I just did.
Which you did, yes.
Okay. Now, since Phil's about to start resetting the process again, my thoughts. I guess this being my first card game, and I'm being relatively inexperienced in the whole card game thing, you know, the whole sub-hobby genre thingy.
Yeah, this is your first card game that you've ever
Yes.
played, so yes.
To me, this, and I'm going to be blunt here, absolutely destroys any fun I could ever have with the game. I absolutely cannot stand it. It defeats the purpose of why I play card games, or why I played this card game in the first place. It's unfair. Granted, it's not unfair that the fact that someone's made it. It's unfair that it's going to be used. I'm hoping it goes down a similar route of one pace where people kind of have a bit of a conscience about it and say, oh yeah, you know what, it's kind of cheap as hell. I'm not going to run it. Again, like I said, I don't know, I can't predict the future. I'm hoping that's what happens. But in my opinion, I will not face it. If I see someone pull it out, I will ask them what they're doing. If I hear that, if it's at any tournament, I don't care if it's the grand final of nationals or the beginning grand final of nationals.
Apples and oranges.
Yep. Like him 7, he's now blue. Purple as well.
Didn't gain any other colours.
Not at all.
He's already...
Yes, but as I said earlier, it's just it destroys the entire fun of the entire game for me, and I would happily walk away from a chance of competing in nationals, regionals, or any sort of big event.
If the game is going to boil down to just, one turn kill decks like this one, especially like this one, then it's almost not worth playing the game anymore.
No.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. I mean, having said that, this is what a lot of people were saying about One Pace as well when that first came along. And for a month and a half, it was unbeatable. There was no way to beat it. But then people started to come up with ideas and ways to beat it, and now it's pretty easily beatable with the right decks. And it's no longer used anymore. But yeah.
Well, I mean, you've seen it first here. I had 3 turns. I played a friend and a resource. That's it.
That's it. I mean, one-turn kill decks aren't particularly uncommon in a lot of other card games as well. We see them a lot in, especially fast card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And such like that.
So I've now got my white entry.
But the difference with, say, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that, if it's a one-turn kill, you're basically dead in, 3 minutes. That's it. This one takes 20 minutes to do it, and your opponent has to sit there and just wait for you to do everything you want. So it's a bit painful, and it's kind of like rubbing salt into an open wound.
It's more like chucking a person with lots of wounds into a pile of salt, not a single wound. As I said, I'm sit here twiddling my thumbs. You've seen it first. I cannot stress how much I hate this deck. Like I said, yes, it grinds my gears. That's the perfect expression. Thank you, Laura. But I mean, as Phil said, he doesn't really enjoy playing it. He's going to deconstruct it after this video is complete. I pray Jesus he's not lying.
This is one thing I said as well. I was like, I played it in the tournament today just for shits and giggles, but that's pretty much all I'm ever going to be doing with it. I may keep it around just for a little bit, just to test against it and make sure, so I keep up to date with it and everything else like that in case it gets played in major tournaments or whatever else. But I highly doubt it. But so I personally will never be playing it in tournaments ever again. Not unless it's, it was the deck to beat in, say, Nationals come next year. Well, later. Next year.
But I guess the one key thing we should explain, which we'll do at the end of the video, once the whole shenanigans have completed, is that there is a way to beat the deck, which can be implemented by Interplay itself. But we'll go through that a little bit later on.
It's also important to note that there exists a deck that can reliably beat this. The problem with it is that it can't effectively beat any other deck in the meta. So it's not a competitive deck. But, we'll get into that a bit later. For now, we'll just sit back and let Phil do his thing.
And I'll just start twiddling my thumbs again.
So this is where it starts to come in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to play a Snips and Snails. To put the third counter in there.
I'll move that just over here.
Yeah, so Phil's starting to play his rarities now. Now he has his whites, which is his method of getting points. And you'll see how in just a few moments, I think.
So...
FYI, Phil's drawn his entire deck. He has no deck left.
Yeah. So this is my current hand.
AKA deck.
So the big thing at the moment is making sure that Spike doesn't get to 4.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's an important thing to remember as well. Is,
I'm now at that precipice.
if Spike hits 4, he flips, and he not only gains counters, which obviously kills the entire strategy.
Yep. So I almost need to deck reset, and I'm going to in one very simple way. In that 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I'm going to remove a counter, exhaust Snips.
Now here's the part I'm not sure about, is Princess Luna's ability says if you would draw a card, you may exhaust a friend you have. The problem is he has no deck left. So he's not actually drawing a card, so I'm questioning whether he would be able to actually use Princess Luna's ability. But for now, we'll just go with it as is, and, you guys can let us know in the comments either one way or the other. We'll probably look it up later anyways.
Just to make sure.
Exactly.
It's one of those semantic things.
It's something
I
that's come up.
technically am removing to draw a card.
Yeah, but
So
since
it's
you
replacing-
have no cards,
It's a replacement effect.
Yeah, it's a replacement of your draw, but in order to draw, you actually have to have cards. But, again, it's a semantics thing, as you said, and it's something that's up for debate.
So now, I'm going to spend 3 action tokens, play Spell Off.
Mm-hmm. Here we
I'm
go.
now going to sacrifice the Breezy to put a card on top of my library. I just have to find the right one. There we go. So I'm going to choose to put this card on top of my library. So I'm now initiating a face-off with all of my friends at a problem, with all of my opponent's friends at the problem.
Let's say there's one. Yeah, just one.
So I've got a stack of friends that,
That was hard counting, wasn't it?
currently
Look at
have
that.
no power. But,
Mhm.
okay,
You flip.
I flipped a 6.
I flipped a 2. What do you know? I
Okay.
lose.
So I've now won that face-off, which allows
Yeah, so
these
you can,
3 breezies to be sacrificed or retired
Mhm.
to score 3 points.
And because you played a face-off, spell off, you can move all
My
any number of
opponent's
your
friends
opponent's friends
home.
back home. So,
So I'll send my opponent's friend
there
home,
goes your only competition.
and that goes up to 3.
She definitely is beyond her garden now.
Okay, so this is now the boring part of the whole process. I sacrifice Party Bomb, as you saw earlier, to dismiss all friends with a power of 0 or less, which are now all my breezes. And I'm now going to remove to draw that card. And pay 1. I may find 6 and 1 today. There we go. It goes up to 3 to play Juggling Routine to shuffle that all back into my hand and draw a card. And my opponent does so too. And you get to draw a card.
Oh, really? You mean it?
I do mean it.
Wow, I get to
I'm not
have
that
some
horrible.
input.
You get to have interaction.
Okay.
How
He
cool
gives
is
you
that?
false hope.
Okay. Well, I think we should just stop it there because you get the whole gist of it. We could sit here for another half an hour
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
just go through one more round.
just so you get the gist of it.
So I'm removing a counter to draw 2. I'm now removing a counter to draw 2. And I'll remove the final counter to draw 2.
Jeez, when they heard you say you have a library, it didn't mean to have a library in your hand.
Play a rarity to get a counter. To remove a counter to draw 2.
You haven't played enough EDH.
To play a Fluttershy to get a counter. To remove the counter to draw 2. To get a Fluttershy to gain a counter. To remove a counter to draw 2. To play a rarity to get a counter. To remove a counter to draw 2.
You could always make a song out of that.
I'm sure someone's going to auto-tune
Play
that.
it.
Okay,
really
I'm gonna... sure, let's do that.
Play a Twilight to gain a counter. To remove a counter to draw 2.
We're gonna hit up Living Dreams and get to make a song out of it.
Play a Twilight to gain a counter. To remove a counter, I'm going to exhaust this Twilight now to gain an action token and a card.
Hooray!
So I'm now going to play a rarity, which gets a counter. Play
A lot.
3. Play a spell off, which gives him another counter. I'm going to sacrifice or retire a Twilight Sparkle to put a card on top of my deck. I just have to find the card, which will be this one. And for good measure, I'll sacrifice the other one as well. Okay.
It's somewhere in here, I swear.
Okay. Let's have a face-off at this problem. Or a spell-off, rather. 5.
4.
To sacrifice the 3 rarities for winning the face-off, send my opponent's friends home, and gain another 3 points. So as you can see, this is now self-sustaining. The party bomb comes in play, I can remove the counter to draw cards and gain an action token. The rarities keep coming back through the juggling routine, and it just keeps recurring and recurring and recurring.
Yep.
Now remember that this is turn 4.
Mm-hmm. It would have been turn 3
It would have been turn
had
3.
Josh had Card Shark confronted in one of his turns.
So the 7 action tokens is what I was after,
Mm-hmm.
but instead I had 8, so I had to delay it a turn. I can't do it with 6, but
Oh.
I can do it with 7.
Yep.
So 8 is good enough. But there you have it, people. This
Mm-hmm.
is just how ridiculous and silly and how unbelievably stupid it gets.
Simply cycle infinitum and get as many points as you like.
Okay, so, as I mentioned earlier, there is one key change that could be...
Are we going to do a separate video for it?
No.
Okay.
Why would we do that? We're here now.
Fix and
Yeah.
post.
Fix it in post.
I'm just saying, like, we have the play video and then we follow it up with the talk.
There's no point.
Okay, whatever.
If you make it one video and it's concise.
Sure.
Going in 3, 2, 1.
Well, there you have it. As I said earlier, there is one key change that could make this dead on arrival. And that is with the magical mailbox itself.
Mm-hmm.
Its key, its text, as I'm reading it from the card, play to your home. Remove a counter from one of your ready characters to draw a card. If you remove the character from a dragon or a Pegasus, draw 2 cards instead. Simply add the keyword next to...
All they need to make it do
Yeah.
is exhaust magical mailbox when you remove the counter as well. so that you can only use it once. That's literally all they need to do to fix this deck.
Or even have exhaust the character that was previously ready.
that would actually be... That actually probably be a better choice, actually.
Either way,
it'll be basically a once-off use thing for it. You know, the only way you could maybe reuse it was get,
Elite Painted Edge or something like that.
Or even
but even
use
then,
Derby Hooves.
you're now talking about a whole lot of stuff.
Exactly.
In order, rather than just
It's a
a
huge
simple
lot of
3-card
changes
combo.
and a huge lot of inconsistencies added to the deck. To do
And the biggest thing about it at the moment is the zero-cost friends. It was stated once that if they introduce zero-cost friends, then it'll lead to breaking the meta.
Yep.
So they said they wouldn't do it. And then they did it. And then it broke it.
They
And now
didn't
it's
just
out.
do it, they added 6 of them.
So I'm only using 3
6 of them that
in
are
this,
relatively
no, 4
easy
in
to
this
play.
deck.
Yeah.
And the Fluttershy and the Applejack, for all intents and purposes, don't need to have card decks.
Mm-hmm.
They're simply there for chump fodder.
Yep.
The rarity scores the point, and Twilight Sparkle sets up the flip.
Mm.
So they themselves have benefit.
Something interesting I noticed though is that usually when I play it, I move my Spike main up to the problem as well, because he's getting all this power here. He may as well be using it to, guarantee a winner face-offs, because what you're doing is you're flipping the top card of your deck, which, okay, granted was a 6, but say if Card Shark here flipped a 7 or something like that, then all of a sudden you've lost your rarities there that you can't use.
Yep.
And especially if this is, spell off, he could have moved something home or something like that, and it could have caused problems for you.
Well, even then, I've still got the reset.
Yeah, you've still got the reset.
I've still got the reset, so
it's
it's not
still
an
within
issue.
a minor setback, but it's something that's more consistent that I found. It's just move Spike up for 2 action tokens. You have action tokens to burn.
Well,
Easy.
that's not the problem.
Yeah.
It comes back again to Magical Mailbox needing to remove a counter from a readied character.
Mm.
If in my movement of Spike up to a problem,
Yeah.
he now becomes exhausted,
Yeah, but the key
I
thing-
now can't go off.
Yes, that's it. I mean, if Card Shark had action tokens left, then definitely not, but
Yep.
he didn't. So,
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. But it's the simple cautiousness in my nature.
Yep.
I'd rather lose one face-off than potentially lose the entire combo.
That's understandable. But I guess that's differences in play styles. Yeah, I'm much more of an aggressive player, to be honest.
Oh, I'm inherently aggressive. I tend to stay away from
I
these
think a lot of
combo
card game
decks.
players are, to be honest, but yeah.
Man, I love my green-white weenie rush. But that's another story. I mean, the biggest...
And a different game.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah, going back to this one, it's pretty broken, as you can see. We're doing this really to get it out there, to get warning out there, and to say and play. You get off your high horse. Don't you need to issue this power level rise. I know you said you wouldn't issue power level rise, but you really need to in this case. It's vital to the meta.
I guess. Sorry to cut you off there, Phil. I guess. Look, I mean, although you can't see my face now, I am living proof of how this affects the game. I have been sitting here with a face like a slapped ass for the last. At least.
I remember when I first got one pace here and I played against you. 2 minutes into me doing my goal off turn, you got up and just walked out the room. You just couldn't even do it.
Well, as I said, it kills any enjoyment of the game, and I hold this game very, very close to my heart. It's helped me, develop my capacity for mental thinking and a different outlet.
I mean, the important thing to see here is that this deck is probably going to damage the meta if people play it. If people don't play it, then that's going to be okay.
It's not even that. It's the fact that this exists. It has the capacity to damage the meta.
Exactly. And the important thing is if it starts damaging the meta, then it's going to make it much harder for new players to come in, which is a huge thing for Enterplay.
Especially here
And
in
money,
South Australia.
You're a business. You need to be getting money, and to do that you need to get new players into the game, and you need to make sure you have a loyal fan base as well. This is going to drive away some of the more competitive players who just don't want to be using this.
Hello.
Exactly. You're going to be driving away people, new people and old loyalists.
And as Laura can attest, it does absolutely nothing. There's no benefit to it.
It does nothing
fun
useful to the meta. It does nothing useful to anyone else, and pretty much anyone who plays it feels good for playing it anyways.
Well, unless you're an asshole.
Well,
And there are some people like that. Fortunately, not so much in this game, but there are in a lot of other games. But we're not
don't get me wrong, I do enjoy being an asshole.
Well, we love doing it every once in a while, but we say, okay, we've had our fun now. Let's go back to have and play a serious, proper, fun game. You know, because that's what it's all about. It's about social interaction.
I never say this, but I want my DJ Pony combo deck back.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm still gunning for my troubleshooting deck, but you know.
Well, I've got new things on the horizon coming for myself.
We've all got new things.
New good things are coming. A potential new use for some orange cards, especially some of the new ultra rares. Yes, carbon loaded, but
of course.
I guess for players watching this, there's probably two things to take away from it. One, be aware that this exists and requires so very little. As you saw, I didn't even need to look at my cards those first 3 turns.
Exactly.
Because I already had my 2 combo cards in my hand. And that was Magical Mailbox and my Colour Fixer.
Which was Sweet and Kind.
Sweet and Kind.
Yep.
And that was my starting hand.
That's literally all I need.
The other cards were irrelevant. That's all I need.
If you didn't have those 2 in hand, you would have mulliganed.
Yeah. And then hopefully get either Sweet and Kind or Magical Mailbox or both.
Yeah.
But having them there, I just needed to sit and wait.
Exactly.
The other thing is, if you're trying to construct a deck to destroy this deck, make sure that you're vocal with other people about it.
Yes, that's one important thing. Both me and Phil are actually working on counters to this deck. We haven't really tested them a lot yet, but we will be doing so in the coming weeks, and you know, you can expect to see that coming up if we find something that's, you know, anyway halfway useful against this deck. And is relatively competitive.
And consistent as well.
Exactly.
Because consistency, I guess, again, going back to what the difference between this and one pace was not that consistent. It kind of a card, you had to get this card, then you need to get this next card.
Yeah, you needed several cards in certain stages. I mean, this one you do as well, but the fact is your first stage is literally just draw your entire deck in one go. One pace wasn't like that. It wasn't, you weren't just able to draw continuously. You had to continuously get cards to keep drawing. If that makes sense.
Yes, there was a lot more intricacies involved in it, ensuring that you got the combo combination right, and ensuring that you had the cards that you needed at the time you needed.
There was a lot more thinking involved in playing it.
Even if you're sitting there generating up to 11, 12, 13 action tokens, you had to ensure that you hadn't discarded the wrong card at the wrong moment.
Yeah. Whereas this one, the greatest thing you need to think about is making sure Spike doesn't get to 4 tokens.
Well, that's basically it.
That's pretty much it.
Do I have Sweet and Kind? Yes or no? Do I have Magical Mailbox? Yes or no? Do I have my 2 other colour fixes for getting Magical Mailbox out? Yes or no?
Do I have Princess Luna?
Do I have Princess Luna? Yes or no? But even Princess
If not, draw cards until you do.
That's
End of story.
It. You just keep recycling and you keep playing until you get the cards that you want.
Exactly. So it's a lot more consistent. It's much faster in terms of going off earlier, and it really is. It's not fun to play against. It's a little bit fun to just watch your opponent wither and scream, but only one time. After that, you just feel so guilty for playing it. It's just not worth it.
You feel dirty.
And
the dirt doesn't wash off.
Exactly. My hands are dirty. I just what do I do?
I have the blood of the infidels.
Okay, so I guess the final thought that I want to leave you with is for something like this can make a player that's been with the card game since the very first moment it hit Australian shores, imagine what it would do to any future players that have never played the game before.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want to. That's the message I want to drive home. Is imagine how if it's going to knock off players that just want to play the game and don't want to use the combo deck like this.
And there's another problem. If it gets to a point where people are starting to play this, and the only way, you know, unless someone comes up with some funky deck or something like that, which we're trying to do, but if that doesn't happen to be the case, then the only way to really play against this deck is to use it. You know, and then you're just fighting fire with fire, and it basically comes down to a coin toss, and you may as well just sum your game up in that.
Did I get my starting hand? Yes or no? Did they potentially get their starting hand? Yes or no?
Exactly.
Did I go first? Yes or no?
That's it.
That's pretty much the only 3 questions you need to ask in a mirror match here.
And it's unfortunate because...
And only one of those you can't really answer very well. You can kind of answer if they had to mulligan, then you could guess that, well, they kind of reach and hope they didn't get something in their second hand.
Yep.
But if they didn't mulligan, then yep, they've got what they need. I hope they go first and have what I need.
That's exactly it. And I'm just pulling out some key cards here at the moment, so bear with me. But it's to give you an idea of just how little is required to get this deck going.
Yeah, because one of the interesting things about this deck is with one pace, pretty much every card in there was precisely calculated to do something, and it was pretty much necessary. Some of them were just counter cards and maybe not necessary against certain decks. But in this deck, you can see about 2/3 of the deck is fluff.
Cannon fodder.
I mean, it's still necessary, but it's fluff that could change for, other zero-cost cards and things like that.
And I've just realised I've dropped a magical mailbox somewhere.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's so
dear.
good.
So I'm only
It's
running...
right. It's right here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you pulled it
Scaring
out.
me, you
Sneaky bugger.
meanie pants.
Oh yeah, blame the shark, you assholes.
So, yeah, this basically is all the rares that are running in that deck.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is common or uncommon. And the vast majority of it, I mean, I think I've splashed a little bit in with mine,
Yeah, and
is...
by far the hardest thing to get would be the Spike Ultra Rare. Everything else is just basically rare.
But even then, you're looking at, what, $20 Ultra Rare?
It's about $15 now in
Yeah.
stores.
You buy your Celestial Solstice and you get your playset there.
Mm-hmm.
You have one Snips and Snails.
Pretty
Doesn't
much
have to be
everyone has
foiled.
snippets now and then.
Everyone has that.
Mm-hmm.
The basic hard ones now are the magical mailboxes because everyone's seen this and want to play it.
Mhm.
And Party Bomb's quite a good utility card.
Yeah, that's useful
So-
in a lot of other decks as well.
So even then,
Mhm.
saying that this is $10 a playset, $10 a playset, your Celestial
Yeah.
Solstice box, whatever that costs you, that's generally a $5 card.
Mhm.
20 for that will be generous,
Yep.
and then probably another 5 for those two.
Yeah.
So even at worst,
Probably-
you're looking at $40 worth of cards,
Mm.
and you've got the meta deck.
That's it.
Even in Magic, you don't get that value.
That's it. It's a pretty broken deck for a relatively cheap cost.
Which, as silly as it sounds, it makes it more accessible to people, which
Mhm.
means it may actually entice them to play it.
Mm.
I don't hope. I really, genuinely hope they don't. But I can see people doing it.
My real hope is that Interplay actually, gets off their high horses and makes this palatable right at any utility to Magical Landbox. And if they don't, then people aren't stupid enough to actually use this deck too much.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we'll have to see. All this is, it's being heavily debated on the Reddit at the moment. If you're active in that, you'll know what's going on. But if not, then, maybe go check that out and see how that's gone. But it's all going to be depending on the next few months, I think. See how this is going to go.
That's exactly
Fortunately, it's not tournament season, so there's not huge about that, and we've still got another few sets to come along before tournament season does come around again.
at least one.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up there, guys. I am Card Shark,
I'm Funky Phil.
And Torrentails.
and we'll see you next time.
Have
Have a good one.
Have a good one.